Hey, this is Dr. Jake Kaufman with Optimized Chiropractic. It's 6 o'clock on Monday, so we are about to cover sleep and what we can do to improve our sleep, why our sleep in America sucks, and what we can do about it. I've got Instagram, Facebook Live going here and Zoom here, so I'm going to be looking back and forth. So if I'm not looking directly at you, I apologize, but I will try and go back and forth. So there was a poll that was taken in 1942, a Gallup poll, and it showed that 82% of Americans in 1942 got 7 hours of sleep or more. That same poll was done after 2010, and what they found was that 40% of Americans now get 6 hours of sleep or less. Now, if you know your history, 1942 was in the middle of World War II. So we are in a pretty stressful time in the world right now, but back then they were in a pretty stressful time as well. So that excuse doesn't really work for us because it's not the stress that's doing it to us, that's causing us to have this lack of sleep. It's more that we're distracted. And that's what the science, that's what the research says when it comes to sleep, is that as Americans, we don't prioritize sleep like we used to. We're told our whole life, you need 8 hours of sleep, you need to get your sleep, you need to get your rest, but we put that on the back burner because we're more interested in doing, things with our friends, things with our family, work. And then the other thing is we're distracted more at a time in society than ever before. You used to be able to go home at 5 o'clock from work and you were done. But now we get pings from our email, from Instagram, from Facebook, and we're constantly reminded of the other attachments, the other responsibilities that we have. And so we just try and distract ourselves and get away from that by using Netflix, Instagram, Facebook, and try to distract ourselves from that busyness, that stress that tells us we have work to do and we need to spend more time doing other things. So what I want to do today is go over 5 different strategies, 5 different things that you can incorporate into your life to help start getting better sleep, or just another way to hopefully after this you can prioritize your sleep and realize why it's so important. So before we jump into the importance of sleep, I want to talk about one thing that's crucial for right now. Is sleep is directly tied to immune function. When we are sick, we get less sleep, we sleep worse, and when we sleep worse, that also can cause us to have an increased risk for infection. Since we're in the middle of a pandemic, if nothing I say here encourages you to prioritize your sleep, let that one. Because decreasing the amount of time we sleep or not having proper sleep increases our risk for infection, disease, and mortality rates across the board, whether it's cancer, heart disease, stroke, diabetes. So sleep is extremely important and vital for the human body to function properly and to be able to heal. So that's basically why sleep is so important, because our body has to have it to heal. So why aren't we sleeping? Why aren't we sleeping in America? Well, I already touched on it's not a priority, but for a lot of individuals, they aren't able to fall asleep, or they wake up throughout the night. Or if they don't wake up throughout the night, they're getting 12 hours of sleep. They're saying, hey doc, I'm prioritizing my sleep. I get in bed at 9 o'clock. I've done all the things you've told me to do beforehand, but I'm still not feeling rested. And so that's another thing that we're going to touch on, is what state mentally that we can get into before going to sleep that can help us have a more restful sleep. So we talked about being distracted, and just something to think about why we don't prioritize sleep in America is because we have an easy drug that all of us take, not all of us, but most of us take, that makes us feel like we don't need sleep, and that's caffeine. I personally have 2 cups of coffee every morning. Even when I try to get the proper amount of sleep, I enjoy coffee, but a lot of us are dependent on caffeine. You should be getting enough sleep and enough quality sleep at night to wake up in the morning feeling refreshed, being able to go through your day and not feeling exhausted. Now, for most of us, that's not realistic, but at the same time, we need to do whatever we can to improve our quality of sleep so we can improve our own quality of life and the quality of life of those around us. So, why do we need to go to sleep calm? Well, there's two different parts of the nervous system. You have the sympathetic nervous system and you have the parasympathetic nervous system. And we're not going to dive too much into this because I wanted this to be short and sweet for you all. But it's basically the fight or flight system, the system that when we see a bear, our blood leaves our internal organs, it goes to our muscles so that we can run, our eyes dilate so we can see more of our surroundings, and our body's able to get us out of that situation or fight the bear. Now, the other side of that is the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's the rest and digest, the relaxation, and that parasympathetic, that rest and digest state is the state that we need to be in when we're falling asleep. And the reason for that is because there's different cycles that we go through when we sleep. And when we go to sleep in a more relaxed, calm state, what it does, it allows us to go into those cycles easier and allows those cycles to be more effective. Now, those cycles aren't completely understood. We know that what's happening in the brain when we're sleeping is neurons are firing at different levels and rates than they have before in different amplitudes. And they believe that it's happening because the brain is literally reprocessing memories throughout the day and working on vital functions and immune functions and improving that as we go into the next day. So that's what they think is going on in the brain as we sleep. And for those cycles to work properly, we need to be in a more relaxed, rest-digested state when we're going to sleep. And one of the things that is keeping us and can keep us from going into that state is that distraction. Now, remember when I said the sympathetic to fight or flight response? Well, there's not a lot of bears chasing us anymore. There shouldn't be, or I hope there's not for you anyways. But that fight or flight response isn't just increased by something immediate. When you pick up your phone and look at social media and you see something that gives you anxiety, you might know that you're not in direct threat, but your brain doesn't. When your brain has that response, when it sees something that causes you anxiety, that causes you fear, it puts your body in that fight or flight mode. So you might be at home sitting on the couch, relaxed, watching Netflix, you get an email on your phone, you get an Instagram post sent to you that upsets you, and now all of a sudden, your body's starting to go into that fight or flight mode. It's 10 minutes before you go to sleep, and you're exhausted, so you're able to fall asleep, but your body isn't able to get into those different cycles of sleep and able to fully recover because your body's in a fight or flight mode. So your body has to slowly try to get you out of that before it can go to those cycles. So that leads us into what we should be doing before we go to sleep. My biggest tip, my biggest thing for you before going to sleep is to put the phone away. And it doesn't have to be an hour, it doesn't have to be 2 hours, but at least 20 minutes before you go to sleep, put your phone away. And the reason for that is if you get an email before you go to bed, and it's a work project or something that you have to do, you're going to be thinking about that. You're going to be stressed out about that. And even if you're not really stressed out about it, it's still in the back of your mind while you're falling to sleep, keeping you further into that fight or flight and further away from that rest and digest, that state that we need to be in order to fall asleep and get a restful night's sleep. So that's my first thing. Put the phone away, set your alarm, do what you have to do, but at least 20 minutes before bed, allow yourself some time to get in a relaxed state. So that's tip number one, put the phone away 20 minutes before bed. Tip number two, turn down the lights. From an evolutionary perspective, our body is not able to say it's time for bed when there's bright lights constantly. When there's bright lights, what it tells us, it tells our body, it tells our limbic system that it's daytime. It's time for us to do activities. And so by just dimming the lights or turning down a couple lights in the house, what it can do is it can help preset the body into that stage of, okay, it's time to sleep. It's time to start getting relaxed. It's time to get into that rest or digest phase. So turn off the phone, turn off or turn down the lights. That can help prime our body to get into that rest and digest state where we're able to get into those 4 cycles of sleep faster. The third one is no email. Okay? So we've got lights off, no phone, no email. If you're watching Netflix and you're getting notifications, you're going to want to look at it. Okay? Again, the email from your boss, from your work, from wherever, if you're thinking about things the next day that you have to do, then you're not thinking about sleep. You're not focused on getting relaxed and being able to, again, get into that relaxed state so that you can fall asleep and have productive sleep. So, we've done those 3 things. It's 20 minutes before bed. What do you do now? Well, you can crochet, you can do a lot of activities, but one thing that I choose to do is I use an app called Headspace. They have a free trial, and what it does is it's just an easy meditation. What meditation does is it helps bring us in to that more parasympathetic rest and digest phase. I've recommended this to multiple patients, and every single one has came back to me and said, Doc, I downloaded the app and that's some of the best sleep I've got, because it puts us in that rest state, that rest and digest state, and we're able to get into those cycles of sleep and have more productive, restful sleep. If you're an individual that doesn't like meditating, if you just don't want to download another app on your phone, another thing you can do, which is very similar, is deep breathing. Deep breathing does this very similar things to meditating. By deep breathing, because of the connection between the heart and the lungs, when we take deep breaths, when we spend 4 seconds breathing in, holding it for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, and then holding it for 4 seconds, it does 2 things. First, it gives our mind something to focus on. And then the second thing is what it does, because the connection between the lungs and the heart is it slows our heart rate down. And when our heart rate is slowed down by us breathing deeply, what it does is it helps put us into that rest and digest state again. And that's the goal. The goal is going to bed in that relaxed state so that we can enter those cycles of sleep easier, faster, that easier transition to get the more restful sleep. So those are 4. So far we have turn off the phone or put the phone away 20 minutes before bed, turn down the lights, no email, and then we have deep breathing or meditation. So those are the 4 big ones. But what I would say overall when it comes to getting a restful night of sleep is it's the same as training a kid or training a baby to fall asleep. With our distracted, busy world, we have to make it a priority, and the easiest way to make it a priority is to make a routine. And if you're living alone or if you have a partner, talk with them about it. Work with them so that you can have a routine at night where you say, hey, if we're going to bed at 10, then at 9:30, we're starting to get ready to go to bed, to get into that relaxed state, to do the things that we need to do to have that optimal sleep throughout the night. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Again, the last few takeaways: turning off the email or turning off the phone or putting away the phone, turning down the lights to decrease that input into the brain and allow the body to slip into that rest and digest state easier. Deep breathing or meditation, I recommend the Headspace app. That's what I use. That's what a lot of my patients use. They have a free trial. It's really easy to use. Or deep breathing. And then lastly, routine. Once we're able to create a habit with those different tips and we're able to make a routine that we can stick with, our body, it basically gets programmed to realize, hey, this is the time for me to sleep. We're able to get into that relaxed state further and not have so much stress on ourselves, and we're able to get a more fulfilled night of rest. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I absolutely love doing these, so I will be back next Monday at 6 p.m. If you guys have any questions at all, shoot me a DM or email me at drkaufman@optimizecolumbus.com. I hope you found this very helpful, and thank you all for spending 15 minutes on a Monday night with me. I look forward to when we're able to have these back in the office. So you all have a great evening, and thank you very much.